It's the Gear Tester here, and welcome to my mini review on the Rite in the Rain all-weather notebooks. It kind of seems fitting that there is some rain coming down here as I do this review on these excellent little notebooks. I've been using Rite in the Rain products for the better part of 5.5 years, and I have always been happy with the quality of the notepads that I've used, their durability, and the function that these little Rite in the Rain all-weather notebooks give you. I've got a couple different options here. This is the number 135 there that you're looking at right here. And I would encourage you to go to Rite in the Rain's website and check out all their other little items, because they do have a number of different notebooks that come in all different shapes and sizes. You can see all these have this little wire binding there on the top, and they have done a great job for me to just have everyday notes that I make in them, and just maintaining important dates or passwords and things I need to remember that I oftentimes forget. So that's what is my general use on these. I've taken these on a number of backpacking trips and hiking trips, and it's nice to know that I can leave a note that's going to be durable in terms of water for an extended period of time. If I needed to leave camp, or if I got hurt or something like that and I needed to leave a note to someone, that I would have a note that was going to last for an extended period of time. And I have tested these little notepads in the rain and in water before. Here's a bigger notepad. This is my most recent purchase from Rite in the Rain, and it has some gray pages instead of their standard white. This is the number 746, and I like this one very much. I like the little bit bigger size. And you can see here it has some rule marks here. We've got inches here and centimeters here. And I really like that. It gives more functionality to the pad. Since I'm carrying it with me, I might as well have measure marks on it all ready to go. Right here on the back of this notepad, and I found this stuff out by trial and error, but it's nice that they're now including it in the back of their notepads, is the different pens and pencils and markers and things that you can use with this product. Because the Rite in the Rain pads of paper have been treated in a way that they don't absorb moisture, there are certain pens and markers and things that you can't use with them. If they are, you can use wet or dry, you can use all pencils. So all manner of standard pencils are good to go, whether the notepad is dry or it's been already encountered moisture. Rite in the Rain pens, so those are some special pens which the company produces, wax markers, and crayons. Those are all good if the paper is wet or dry. When it is only dry, you can use permanent markers like these Sharpie markers, and you can use standard ballpoint pens. What I tend to do is just use pencils. That's what I do. You can see right here I've cut one down to length, and I use it right there with this notepad, and that's generally how I carry them, is just like that, so I don't have to be looking around for writing utensil. But my standard go-to thing is a pencil on these. And what's not going to work is going to be gel pens, most highlighters, because they're operating on the moisture being absorbed into the paper, and the whole reason this thing doesn't lose what you've written down is that it doesn't absorb the moisture in there. Fountain pens and watercolors. So those are what's not going to work with your Rite in the Rain pad. One of the things I wanted to show you here, demo for you, is the reality of what happens when you try and write on one of these treated pages of paper with a highlighter. And you can see here that it just kind of beads up, and then you can just wipe it right off. It's not going to sink into the paper, because it's been treated. It's been treated with something more complicated than just wax. It's not just wax, but this does bead. These highlighters do bead like you're just writing on a piece of wax paper there. So that gives you the reality, of course, is because it's been treated so that moisture doesn't enter it. Markers like a Sharpie marker here, one of these just Sharpie highlighters, or any highlighter for that matter, is just going to bead up, because the paper does not allow, or the treatment that the paper has received does not allow the highlighter to enter into the paper. In the case of a permanent marker here, like this Sharpie marker that I have here, it does, if the paper is dry, it does a very good job of adhering to the paper. This is a little bit moist because of the elements. I'm out here making this video in a little bit of a rainstorm, just a little sprinkling coming down, but just to come up with something to write down here, I'll do some multiplication. 6 times 6 equals 36. 7 times 7 equals 49, and 8 times 8 equals 64. I am an educated individual. It's actually hard to come up with something to write down that would make sense, but there you go. Then if you give this just a second, it does not smear. If I were to just write it down here quickly and then go, I can smear it. But just 4 or 5 seconds of writing it down, the time that you would take to write something down, think about it for just a couple seconds, it will have dried and it will not smear at all with a permanent marker. It seems to me that it makes sense to give you guys a little demo here of the Rite in the Rain pieces of paper, these treated pieces of paper actually in water. And one of the cool things about these pieces of paper that have been treated is that you can still tear them, although it's a little bit harder than a standard piece of paper, but they stand up against the elements a lot better. So even fully saturated with water, once you've written on them what you've written down and given it time, in the case of a permanent marker, to dry, or with a pencil when you just write down wet or dry, it's going to stay there. But it also, the piece of paper is more durable than a standard piece of paper. I'm just going to show you guys that right here. Just pour some water. And you can see instantly that standard piece of paper has already soaked up the moisture, the water, and it's just going to fall apart here in just a couple seconds. One of the things I've actually used these Rite in the Rain pads for is when I've been seeking to learn another language, and I've been studying and trying to spend time, as much time as possible, right before classes. I've taken a hot and cold shower, and I have written down specific words, specific vocab, and different things on these Rite in the Rain pads, in a very small manner, giving me specific words that I'm struggling with memorizing. And then I've gone over them in the shower as I've done a hot and cold shower. Maybe I'm giving you guys too much information about myself, but that's really helped me to make the best use of my time and to make a good study session quickly right before I'm heading to class, after I've spent most of the night studying and trying to memorize things. So you can see here, this piece of paper now just falls apart, and you can see that this is floating, but it's also beading up. You can see there it's still very dry. It's wet, but I can still write on it here with no problem. Okay, and this will dry out a lot faster as well. So you put it back in the water, and again, you can see there that the Sharpie marker has not bled at all. This is where I wiped it the first time, but it is not moving. What you've written down there is basically sealed into that coating. So it's a lot more durable, the pieces of paper. So, if you dropped your notebook in the rain, if you dropped it in a puddle, if it got soaking wet in the back of a backpack, something like that, if it got a drink or something else spilled on it, these tablets are gonna, these Rite in the Rain notebooks are gonna protect what you write down on them a lot better than a standard piece of paper would. And particularly if you're doing, spending a lot of time outside, backpacking, camping, even a day hike, you got to write down some notes or take some information down that's important so that you don't have them hurt. These are pretty awesome to give you that ability. They were actually invented by a guy who was doing logging a number of years ago, and he needed to be able to take precise notes down about his logging business, and he was struggling with the ability to have notes that he could take in rainy, wet conditions, and then the papers could get wet and nasty as he was doing different things, hiking in and out, working on things. So they're a awesome product, one that I would definitely recommend to you, that I think is well worth the money that you will spend on them. Thank you very much for your views and your subscriptions. If you are looking for a way to protect notes, sketches, information that you're writing down in a wet environment or in a situation where they may become wet, I would definitely recommend the Rite in the Rain all-weather notebooks. Thank you very much for your views and your subscriptions. This is the Gear Tester signing off. It's the Gear Tester here, and welcome to my mini review on the Rite in the Rain all-weather notebooks. It kind of seems fitting that there is some rain coming down here as I do this review on these excellent little notebooks. I've been using Rite in the Rain products for the better part of 5.5 years, and I have always been happy with the quality of the notepads that I've used, their durability, and the function that these little Rite in the Rain all-weather notebooks give you. I've got a couple different options here. This is the number 135 there that you're looking at right here, and I would encourage you to go to Rite in the Rain's website and check out all their other little items, because they do have a number of different notebooks that come in all different shapes and sizes. You can see all these have this little wire binding there on